he has, if you've never heard his story, someday you want to hear it. We're not going to get that today, but it's hysterical. And Perry started the nursing home business, cleaning fannies and bedpans and anything he had to do. Moved up to executive director, had an experience with a hospice in his nursing home that was not positive. He went home and read the hospice book and said, I quit my job, this is my calling. Perry, how long was that ago?
23 years ago.
23 years ago. He is a advocate for everything he believes in and a dynamic speaker and fun to be around. Dr. Tim is going to be tick marking on Perry's potty mouth. Okay? For those of you who don't know, there's an over-under, like in football betting. So in football betting, if you think a team's going to score 20 points, you either bet under or over. Historically, the over and under has been somewhere, it started at 35, went to 40, went to 50. I always chose the over, and I've won every year. So Dr. Tim, who has told me that he is well educated and can do simple tick marks, is going to be tracking these. And Barry, everything counts.
Okay.
You don't get to excuse one because it's not that bad.
Well, I need a better definition then.
Okay, well,
Darn.
darn is fine.
Hell yeah.
So, we're thrilled to have you, Perry. Thanks for being here. Everybody welcome Perry Farmer.
Alright, do I need these? I may need these. Not much of a ham at all. Really, I'm terrified of public speaking. So hopefully this goes well. In the past, been here for 4 years, and we've talked a lot about history, how to develop a team, from marketing, branding, to the story about what we all do, what we all love to do. But today is going to be a little bit different. And so maybe some of you are already doing these things. If you're not, I highly encourage you to. So it may be a little bit drier, but I'm going to speed up, try to, so that we get to Tim's part, so this all makes sense. From Tim to Greg Kotzbauer this morning, to this talk, to how we can go. But before I started, so we're going to be ramping up real quick. There's not going to be a whole lot of time to kind of ease you into this. You're going to have to get me quick, right? We're going to go move fast. And so, but it's important that even though we're going to be talking about numbers, in my eyes, though, and specifically this group, you are the pinnacle, you are the best of the best. I think our industry represents the best of healthcare. And I think this group represents the best in our industry. You are absolutely the best of the best, and thank you for being here. One of the things that you may not know or even realize, but maybe you're starting to get it, and as we go through this talk and the talk this morning, is that you are the answer to saving the country. You are the answer to the healthcare problem, right? As Dr. Tim said in Washington, he said, it's the elderly, the frail, the chronically ill, the most vulnerable patients don't cost you a penny. It's what you do to them that costs, right? And so here we're on the other side of this, and they're saying that these people cost the systems up to 85% sometimes of the entire healthcare spend because of what they do. Because they're not being patient advocates, because they're not fighting for the rights of the patients to live. And as soon as we get the conversation going, sorry, I'm going to fly way off to the left, even though I'm from Oklahoma, I'm on the left side. If I could just turn Oklahoma purple, I'd be happy. Anyway, as soon as we start talking about it, what do they say? Oh, death squads, death talks. No, can't do that. We can't, we've got to have chemical restraints. We've got to, we're facing all this stuff from political, everything that kind of comes in. So you are the white knights. You are the people that, think about what we do. We take care of these patients without regard, really, because we're capped, right? We've got capitated patients. So what? We're the only people that are assuming any risk at all. Us in nursing homes, right? We're not fee for service. You give me $150, maybe you need a Tylenol and a bedside commode, maybe you need an epidural morphine drip, I don't know. But I'd rather have the commode and the Tylenol patient, right? Makes sense. We are assuming the risk for this 150. I'm going to make sure of it. So that's why anxiety is the biggest deal, because they're going to run off to the hospital, right? So all these things that we do, we are risk sharing with the system. We take care of all the patient's needs, not just physical, spiritual, emotional. Oh, by the way, why don't we throw the family care in on that too? Right, so we're going to do that. Oh, got one better for you. How much did the hospital get to bill once the patient dies? Oh no, hospice, we're going to take care of them for at least 13 months. Hopefully you're doing a Grief Recovery Institute. That's a whole nother topic. It's available on YouTube if you ever want to see that. Anyway, so, I mean, this is really at the crux. So I recently got to go to Washington with Greg and Dr. Tim, and there at the final part of the meeting was the guy, Adam. And he's the head of CMMI. And he said, you know what? At Centers for Medicare, he only answers to the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And depending on what month it is, that could be a different person. There's the great cuss word in there that I'm going to just keep to myself. So you're one tally off. Anyway, and so he says, you know what? We're going back to basics. The Center for Medicare and Medicaid, we're going back to the 4 Ps. Hell yeah. Damn it.
There's
Oh.
one.
I was thinking that one of the P's was Perry. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And so the first one was patient. I went, oh, you're, boy, I had that. That's a whole stream of them right there. That's what I was thinking when he said that. I said, oh no, because let me, take Crossroads out of it. Take, Heart and Home, take your hospital out of it. This is Effie who chose. She elected a benefit. So what happens when Effie's daughter or the nursing home, 11 to 7, LP, they're not going to die on my shift, ships them off to the hospital because I pay taxes, I don't get contracts with hospitals, right? So it gets back to our inpatient conversation we were having earlier. So now they're off there, so now it's either Crossroads pays the bill, the family pays the bill. Oh no, and don't tell me that they don't have the computer system to know that they've already selected hospice, they're not going to do it. So do you want to die? Well, no, I don't want to die. Then you need to okay, it's a verbal revocation, boom. So why? So they can bill at $15,000 an hour. So what, all this, and all of this, all was about contracting. So don't tell me, Medicare, that you put the patient first when Effie got choked. Now, if you want to give me the inpatient money to pay the hospital, fine. I hate the pass-through, but we'll do it. Or pay the hospital directly. But for God's sakes, honor Effie. Honor Effie's choice. And until we start, and this is the group, we were just talking about how does SONO get involved legislatively. Let's walk the damn halls. That is not appropriate. Let me tell you, I've got a real question for you. Why in the world would I have to have an inpatient contract? Why? That makes 0 sense for me to have a contract with a hospital. If you're my patient and your choice was to go to that hospital, and it's okay, oh great, we won't go to the ED, let's go right into intensive care, we'll control your pain for 24 hours, we'll just get you back home. Sound good to you? If that's what you want, why the hell should I have a contract? Right? Shouldn't have to happen. Why is it? So they can control the dollar and therefore get their $15,000. By gosh, I'm on a roll. Anyway, so I tell you all that just to kind of tell you, we are, name one other industry, name one other type of healthcare, perhaps obstetrics. Is that the birthing people? Obstetrics. OB.
Yes.
Those people are quite involved with all of us. But death, we are. I'm tired of being placed. I'm tired of our industry looking like, oh, aren't they cute? Oh, what white hats. They hold hands. They're special. Well, that's true. We are special. But at the end of the day, we are the only industry that operates with everybody, has the potential to be with us. So no, I don't want a seat at the table. I want to be at the head of the damn table. Right? This is where we've got to get stronger as an industry. Our voice has to be heard. We're getting screwed with why? Because NHP, we want to control the money. No, I don't want to control a 5% loss. Help me. Right? We have to start standing up for ourselves. So what we're going to talk about today, though, is it kind of gets into, I want you to, where we go, as a group, right, as our industry, not you and not me, because we're smart. As a group, we're not very good at defending ourselves, right? We're just not. And for example, in 2008, when the crash happened, the economic crash, banking industry was under inspections. They had fines that were extrapolated. Anybody heard that word? Yeah. Anybody? If you haven't heard that word, you will. And so that's why you need to listen today. So extrapolation was found by the courts to be unconstitutional. Where's our, help me, hey, I got extrapolated. I got extrapolated right, yeah. No sunshine where my extrapolation went. Right, so those are the things that we just don't do a good job. We've got OIG, FBI, DOJ, ZPIC, MOUSE, ADR, FMR, yeah, Mick, Mac, Ratty, Paddywhack, Give a Dog a Bone, all of it. And it's all here, and we don't do anything. Well, how come they're here? I've gone, never had a deficiency in 15 years. $4 million under the cap. I received an $8 million fine. Right? Some of you have got me beat. But at the same time, I turn around and go, how is this even possible? Right? Where did this even number come from? So all you have to do is tell them to go, no tallies, off. Off is a good word. Did you turn a light bulb on and off? I can say that. And so what they do, they dropped it to 4 million. Great! Just with that, just fight back a little bit. Right? So we're finally getting our day in court. But you have, the biggest thing that I want to get you to is that I'm all about the compassion. I'm all about the love. Those that know me know this. But today it's about numbers. It's about your stability. It's about your financial, the structure, your model, why these people are coming for you, what they're looking at to come after you. Right? Because we need to change how we do this. And my good friend Jim Stovall, he has done, somebody once said he knows more about the Mount Everest, climbing Mount Everest, than any other person that has never climbed. Jim is blind. So if you've never read The Ultimate Gift, he's got 1 billion books out there. He's just great. He actually lives in Tulsa, one of my good friends. Anyway, so we were talking just the other day, and he goes, this Mount Everest thing came up. He goes, I only talk to people coming down. Why would I talk to anybody that was heading up? They could die. They could fall off. Their plan may not work. If you come down the mountain and you're survived, you're still standing, that's who I want to talk to. So today, I'm coming to you from a very painful mountain. And I'm here today, still swinging, still fighting, and ready to go. Right? So this is what we kind of had to do. So with that, I think that's the end of my talk. Not end of the talk, the end of the start. Yeah, it is. Okay, are you ready? Now I don't need glasses. Great. Ta-da! Oh, yeah, and that's us. That's Tim. You know Tim. So what are we going to do today? I need you to understand how to protect yourself from becoming low-hanging fruit. We were low-hanging fruit. That's just, you know what that is, right? The little old lady coming up, pick. That's all Z-Pick had to do. They didn't have to look. They didn't have to scrounge. They didn't have to dig through files. Crossroads. Tick. Yeah. And of course, Charlene told us it was coming. Is Charlene not here this year? Is she? All right. So Charlene, in 2013, our first year, she goes, "Get ready, Z-Picks are coming." And I sat in the back of the room. Yeah, bring it on. Yeah, we're Crossroads. Right. This is bad. All right. So got a fruit, low-hanging fruit. We need to be proactive in your use of analytics. Does your patient mix stand up? All right, so we're going to really focus on one thing today, but there's 5 areas that you really need to be focused on because it's where you're most vulnerable. And so how to utilize necessary corrections for not only your financial stability, but the patient stability, your ability to move forward in a better way and expand. What if I could expand your market share by eight times? What if I could do it? Would that be happy? For any of you that are competing with me, shut the hell up and get out the room. Right? Anyway. So you guys are all familiar with the Puff Report, right? All right. So really, the first thing that you do is you see, there's 4,126 hospices in the United States, and all it is a bunch of numbers. What you need to do, if you're not a numbers cruncher, get one by your side, right? Because the first thing I did was, all right, create my own columns. Let's start sizing people up. Let's see where we stack up. Right? So the first thing that you can determine is your average length of stay within a period. Now, why I say period, this is how they're pegging you low. It's quick, down, dirty, easy. They don't have to search your files. They don't have to go back to Effie's billing that started in 2012. Right? They don't have to do any of that. They can do this right here, and if the total days that you build divided by the number of days in the period, which is a year, that's going to give you kind of your average length of stay. We'll be able to figure that out inside the period very quickly. All right? So how do you stack up here? Staffing hours. That comes throughout the total care and in the last 7 days. The last 7 days, this is so awesome. And I hope you guys are taking advantage of it because this is our home frickin' run with HIS1, HIS2, and SIA. It's our home run. Charlene will tell you, Medicare is scratching their heads not with the people in our room, not our SONO people, but across the country. They can't understand why no one is taking advantage of the SIA. Like, wow, why is it we are paying them more? Why aren't they doing it? Their model didn't need it in the damn first place, right? If your care plans are seeing them once a week or whatever you're doing, and we know that there are very, very few bad apples out there, but those that are there, here's what's happening. If you're not taking advantage of that, SIA saved our bacon as we went through all this process. SIA is a wonderful time. It's a way that you go head to head and you can show the nation and show your inspectors. I'm real proud. We have a site in Lenexa, Kansas, hit 100%, not one patient missed in all of 2018. So this is something that's part of our model. It's what we do. And the SIA can, if you work it right, I'm not saying try to manipulate it, just care, and look what happens. Do the right thing for the right reasons, and finally, Medicare's going to pay you. When did that start happening, right? So staffing hours very important. Total last 7 days. Leakage. This is the big one. Right now, the national average of leakage is about 70%. Meaning, if Medicare pays you hospice $100, by the time they're through with this patient, right, and this patient has died, they've spent $170. Right? That's why it used to be meds that were. Where's the pharmacy person that was here? Not UDG. Yeah, you know everything. It used to be meds that were attributable to the terminal illness. Then it became and also comorbidities. And basically it's everything. Medicare stance now is, look, hey, we gave them to you. Why are they still on this med? Why are they still on Viagra? Right? You do what I do. It's a fall preventer. Better than a bed rail. So, leakage.
Does that count?
Is that people just now coming on board here? You just getting that?
That doesn't count. It was just funny. It was just funny.
So, okay. So, leakage. Do you know that? And I did a deal.
Not to be confused with the Seinfeld line. There was. No.
Yeah, exactly. So, the funny thing about leakage, though, is if you that's not sounding after the other joke. That's not coming in very well, is it?
No.
So this leakage. If you are I put all the saints together. Saints, So I had all the hospital-based hospices, Saint anything, right? I even found a St. Nicholas Hospice for elves. Anyway, put all there together. They've got 170% leakage. Right? So it's really incredible. Don't talk to me about being the darlings up here, when they're coming in with their low length of stay, because they've already billed everybody in the hospital. That's just like Muhammad Ali, in a fight, take that with you. You can have that hospice. Boom, got one more dollar. And that's ugly. I know. I'm sorry. I'll do anything for a laugh. Live discharge percentages, they are expecting with the new high-low and everything that it was going to go to 18. Last year it hit 17.93. So live discharges is something that you can show up for. And service types. Somebody was talking about inpatient care and respite. Right now, across the board, 98% of all days are done in routine. We all know of a major competitor who just got slapped hard in California, over $20 million fine, because they were outside the norm, both on number of days and how long the patients were there. They averaged 14 days on inpatient care. That's just wrong. Ish. And if you're from that hospice, I'm sorry. I don't mean it. Okay. So this is my bell. It's not my bell-shaped curve. Look at that. Yeah, I invented this. So thank me for all you good graders in grade school. So this is the average. This is where you want to be. Right here, this is what they call a standard deviation. Right? So now we're getting into a little bit more math. So if I'm averaging 75, let's say average length of stay 75 days, and I've got two people, right, one at 100, one at 50, the deviation there is 12, so this is kind of where you want to be. If you're inside this nice little area, ZPIC can't find you. You're just in a mess. You start getting out here, and we've got a problem. So how do the deviations work? So as you look through and you start stacking hospices up, All right, it's either going to be one standard deviation or 68% of the data. If you're within the 68 percentile, you're in good shape. Moving on out, this is where things get a little dangerous. What happens when you're 95th percent? Right? What happens when you're out here? At one time, our site that got that Z-Pick fine, they were the 25th largest hospice standalone in the country. Forget all of the rest of it, they were 25th on their own. But they were in this percentile in length of stay. And there it was. And they didn't even have to look. I said, come get me. Right? I mean, just not even thinking about the numbers, because we do, that's what's so beautiful about our industry is that we get caught up in the stories and Effie, and oh my gosh, she's so cute, I want to hug her. And oh my God, I got to hug the family. It's the best thing ever. We get our cookies filled every day. That was a talk from last year or 2 years ago, I think. Anyway, whole point is, you can't be out here. What's this?
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. That's exactly where we were. That's where some of your stats are going to be there. So let's look at, we had all those different, those are just off the puff. You know, from your Casper peppers, all the other stuff, HGRPs. But I want to show you just how practical that this can go. And this manages your patient mix. So the first thing I want to talk about is high-low rate. It's amazing how most people do not understand how that was derived. Right? Or why is if you used to get $150, why is your high rate 170, what would that be? 174 and your low rate 138. Why? Where did these numbers come from? Right? So if you take a third of your high rate, right, and 2/3 of your low rate, add them together, this is where you would have been. Right? 60 days, 120 days, 180-day benefit. Easy pie. So you can figure out exactly where you were. My biggest question, as we were going through this whole turmoil that I've just shared with you and wondering, can Crossroads even survive? Can Crossroads survive after that Z-Pick, after that? Do we have to change? What's this high-low? What about all this stuff? Do we have to conform? That's a big question. So the answer kind of came back to me is no, we don't have to conform. Because when we start looking at our actual high day percentage, that may have been a little lower than it should have been, right? If you're hitting 33% of high days, you're in beautiful land, beautiful territory. Actual low day percentage times the rate, right? Well, this is where we weren't very good, right? We weren't very good. But this SIA, adding the SIA gave me an effective rate that is higher. We're better off today than we would have been had Medicare never changed a thing. Right? And that's hard work. It takes years to get your patient mix right. And I don't ever want anybody to take my talk to mean I want you to artificially manipulate. I care as much as you do, but things have to make sense. You can't survive. Right now they just did a cost report. If you're at 150, right, they're considering that a large hospice in this country, you're making 8%. The low day rate is a reduction of 8% from the Medicare standard rate. So over $60 on average, you're not making over 60 days, you're done. Right? That's just, and that's what they wanted. They wanted to take the profit motive out of long length of stay. Right? So that's good. I don't have a problem with any of this. As long as you get this prospect and how to calculate it and where it all comes from, you can survive. I'm going to show you an example of anywhere. Well, no, I'm not either. I'm gonna hit this clicker and see what comes next. I'm gonna follow the slides, Billy. What do you think about them apples? All right, so right here, by doing this, that'll fix your period average length of stay, your live discharge rates. All this starts playing inside of your patient mix. What type of live discharge was it? Was it a revoke inside of 15 days? Right? Where are you standing there? You just spent $2,000 to bring that patient on. She sits at home at the nursing home. Now she's gone to the hospital. You had a social revoke. You know, now what happens? She spends there 2 days. They can't do anything about it. And now she comes back on. So now it looks like I admitted and I readmitted. I did it. I mean, we're in a mess, right? So understanding all of this is very, very important. In 2008, NAHA, which was a group that first proposed, when they said that the hospice industry has never proposed a different way of paying, they're lying. We did in 2008. Unfortunately, something else was being passed at 2008, so they wouldn't talk to us very often, very long. It was just like, we're already doing healthcare. So, well, yeah, but this is special. This is special, right? So they use these categories that statistically about where 5% of the patients would fall into, right? So I wanted to kind of, let's all start from what we want to know, and then how are we going to find out, and then how do we stack up? Sound good? That's a yes,
Yes.
baby. Yeah, and if they say hell yes, that doesn't count on me.
He said one.
Okay.
That was a gimme. That was a gimme. He was getting bored. I'm doing so good. All right, so this is under 15 days. So we got total days in the month, right? We know we're going to figure out our average daily census. We got our number of patients and our percentage of our entire census. So we'll start at patients under 15 days, 16 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, then 3 months to 6 months, the last 6 months of the first year, then it goes down to 5 years plus. So these are going to be our days. So our under 60 days, our over 180 days, over 2-year patients, actual ALOS, high-low rate. So we're going to start with the assumption that we're going to get $150 for our hospice patients, right? That was the Medicare standard rate. We're trying to see how our patient mix is affecting versus a 150 rate. So basically, and I was talking to Seth, and I just think that it would be a hard class to go through, but I will help any of you. I swear to God, if you're from SONO, you want these spreadsheets, I've got no problem in sharing with you. Absolutely not. So I've got all the same categories here, right? So this is going to be my total number of patients in each category, the total number of days, the average. I've got my period days here for my period length of stay, and I've got my total days for actual, high, low. We've got some blended over here, and we'll get to that. So that's where I had to start. I had to start figuring out where, you can't get to San Francisco if you don't know where you are, right? I think we've said that before. If I said, meet me in San Francisco, but you didn't know where I was or where you were to get started, do you drive west on 40 or do you come down from Seattle, right? You don't know where you are. You got to figure that out. So for HIPAA purposes, I'm going to share the name of this patient that comes over and over and over again. His name is Perry. All right, so this is, look at Perry, brand new. Brand new, came in on the 31st day of the month. He had 1 period day and 1 actual day on hospice. Woohoo! Here I go. And then all these other Perrys are down here and they've been on a little bit longer. So in this example, I've got 100 patients, right? 14 of which are in the first days with a 6.29 average. And it kind of goes on. I don't want to just read these numbers to you because we've got a lot to cover. But you can see how it kind of stacks up. And then over here, hey, nobody at 5 years plus. That's great. That's great. I don't even want to talk about that. So 4 years, sometimes you don't figure it out. I mean, it's kind of like when you're talking about pain. What alleviates pain? Sometimes it's spiritual and emotional. Our very first patient, I won't tell you her name, but she was supposed to be gone. We were in her room 3 separate times, contracted. She's so cute. About 80 pounds, contracted in bed, still had her blue hair, loved her, love her. Still got her little beauty shop, came in and did her hair. And she would wake up and go, what the hell y'all people doing in my room? That's her curse word, not mine, it doesn't count. Right? It was just like, oh my gosh, until we found, what's keeping her alive? There's nowhere she can't decline. She weighs 12 pounds. I don't understand. She got 11 pounds of urine. What the hell? Right? So you're just going, well, I don't understand. So we went up and we saw, I went to Cahaba, I went to our intermediary, and I said, is this what's going on? I don't understand. This was 1996. 2 years later, she died. What kept her alive? She had an emotional problem and a spiritual issue with their daughters. And until that was uncovered, as soon as it was done, bye. Right? So what keeps our patients alive? I don't know. So this is not totally uncommon, but it's something you've got to be aware of how it affects you overall. So we've got, in this right now, we're sitting at 519 high days, 2009 low days. And so here's where my graph starts looking like. We had 100 patients. We had an average daily census of 81. These are the 100 patients I served. And you can kind of see how it breaks out. So we get down here, look at this period ALOS. We have only got 6 patients on for, let's see. You can see if this next slide does it. Okay, perfect. So we've got 6 patients on for 2 years, 6%, little high, but again, overall, because in 15 days, these people graduate, so it's not really, it's always moving, it's always gelling and going around, but the thing that jumps off the page at me is this right here. If this is your patient mix, 53% of my patients are on for less than 6 months of the patient served. That's great. No, it's not. That means 46 are on for over 6 months. This can't be. I've got a 47% issue here. By looking at the patient days, I need to find 806 days to get off this list. This is out of control. This is out of balance with what a hospice should look like. So I've got to find, it ended up being 26. I had no here. Let's take boom, boom, boom. Again, not saying if they are declining, you know the difference. Medicare thinks the cap is the fine penalty. They've left it alone. It's the ZPICs and all those other people that say if they're not declining, they're not appropriate. No, we're using the LCD guidelines, blah, 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 blah. No, they're appropriate. No, they're not. They haven't declined. What do you define decline? Right? So now we've had to make 26 markers of decline and chart. And I have found that if you're dying within 90 days, in every 8 days, you will have 1.73. I'm a numbers kind of geek, right? Areas of decline, whether that's a change in care plan, a fall, a change in meds, a weight loss. You've got to find this because this is the only way you protect yourself. But these people are on here just going, oh my, right? So again, we're taking emotion and patience out of it. This is straight numbers talk. This is them data mining you, right? So this is what we've got to do. So let's say I was able to take those off, right? So what happens now? We start moving all these zeros here. Now I've still got the same number of high days, right? 515, but now I've only got 1,200 days here. We've got some blended days kind of coming in. So in days 61 through 90, depending on, some of those will be high, some of them will be low, right? Depending on your period. So all this brings me back to, this is where we are now. This kind of sucks, because we've had a 30 patient drop in our average daily census. How many people are willing to take that on? To save $8 million, you better be willing to, right? There is this give and take. Never rush into anything, but understand what each person represents. So we've got all the same numbers here, right? Except now I'm at 71%. Okay, so we're not all the way home yet. We went from, let's look here, our actual length of stay, this is actual now, went from 234, right, to 111. Way within the norms now, right? Of course, looking at actual length of stay in a month, don't do it. It'll drive you crazy. What do you mean we're at 200 days? You're not. You need to look at it only through a whole year, right? And the shorter time you look, the worse your average length of stay is going to look. Yes, sir?
So are you defining actual length of stay as the length of stay of people that are on service right now?
Yes.
Not discharge, death,
No.
but just people.
Now, those people, right, if they're on that number board, their total days are right there. Right, so then when we get into period, you're going to want to do this for your for all discharges, live and dead too. And I'll show you that in just a second. Great question. So this one, I never freak out too hard here. It's only on the period and year-end actuals that you go, we are one standard deviation out. You find something. And you find the lady that's just stabilized. And I'm sorry, I'm going to give you a plan for her. What happened in 2016? I will tell you this, you guys may remember, if you've been in since that time, on February, I think 16th, was the first Monday that hospices got their check in the new payment system. It hit me. I was in Atlanta, and I called the home. I said, call everybody, do not take one transfer today. It just hit me like, oh my God, today's the day. Don't take transfers, right? 88 transfer requests. That day across the country, everybody getting rid of their long. So what happened? 5 out of the top 15 hospices no longer exist. 5 out of the top 15 in size and income no longer exist today. Great consolidation at the top, right? They're on the auction blocks. Why? They couldn't manage this. They didn't understand where they were. And some of these are now owned by corporations and public companies, but they're not doing the same data analysis that you need to be doing. So, sorry, that was a tangent. How am I doing on time? That's all I've got left for the whole talk?
Yes.
Oh, shit, Tim, I'm so sorry. Roll. We're going to roll, right? So look at the high days. I went from 20 to 30, right? 30%. I need to be 33 to be totally break even, but my gosh, we're making it. We were at 145 or $4 off the Medicare standard. Now I'm $1.16 off. We haven't talked about SIA yet. That's going to put me over. Yay, running a program, managing it. And the thing is, don't panic here. Because if you've got, the thing I always try to do is, my major goal is I need 33% of all my admits of my ADC needs to come in one month. Speak! If you have a census of 100, you need 33 each month. Right? Let's say after that, in January, February, March, you're still at 100. Roughly, you've got about a 90-day average. It took me 90 days to completely flip my census. I've got all these admits. Some people have gone, but I'm okay. That goes 4 months at 25%. Now we're at 120. Still okay. If it goes to 5 months, cap. right? So 33%. So if I'm at 100, or was at 100, I've got 33 new patients coming in. So that's where, and they all come in up here. So that's going to be balancing out. Does that make sense? I just don't want you to freak out. He's telling us to cut our census in half. It's not what I said. It is, you got to, but do this incrementally, right? So that it's not a race. You've got some time here, but take it methodically. Get your charting, right? And if they're staying on service, great. If you understood what's going on now, your charting becomes a shield instead of a sword that many of us have already fallen on, right? So shield yourself. If they're not declining, you talk why. You've got to chart this decline. You've got to be able to graph their weight loss. Because if you're seeing them every week or whatever, sometimes it's like seeing your kid, right? You look the same to me as you did yesterday. Let Grandpa come in. Oh my God, it's a weed, right? So anyway, so you want to do this with all of your discharges. Once you break it out this way, you start seeing about your death. So 40% of your patients that die are dying in the first 15 days. Right? Those are kind of the things that you're going to want to know, because we already know they're all talking about our length of stay and death for dollars and all that stuff. Hell no, we're sitting here and half those people are gone. What was their average? 6 days. If half of them are gone in 15 days, and half of that number's gone in 3. How many they're called 911 or call Crossroads? Great. We're just going to admit you right in, and here we go. Wasn't that good? In fact, we had hospice at the end. Don't even get me started. Anyway, so now am I still active over 2 years? About 2 years that we've already cleaned up this problem. So now we can feel good about how we go on. We've corrected all of the issues that could have put us on Z-Picks. So now what? As I sit here and think, I've added wrinkles, and he still looks younger than I do. All right, got it. Hey, guess what else is happening? In that example, we had 47 patients getting a face-to-face. So the nurse practitioner that you brought on, because she's got to do face-to-face, has got to do 47, or every 2 months, or 23 this month. Now, she only has to do 10. You've got an income potential here, sitting right here, and yet she's doing face-to-faces on patients that are over 6 months. Right? So what could we do? We're going to move 27 patients to palliative care. This is how you get. This is when thing. We're not going to turn our back on Effie. We're never turning our back on Effie. But the truth is, we don't get to make the rules. Z-Pick is, and when they can still extrapolate and take your entire future away, some of these fines, right, are more than the hospice ever made in its entire life, or ever will. Now, how does that make any sense? So I want you to care for Effie, but gosh darn it, if you're not around to care for Effie, it's just like how we tell our families, right? You got to take care of yourself, because if you don't, that's why I got to put on my oxygen first in a flight. Right patient, right time, right level of care. Expanding your service lines, that allows you, people upstream, not dying in 6 months, or as we see 15 days, allows you a lot more breadth. 8 times the people can be there if you can operate it correctly, and sphere of influence. So, with that, I give you Tim Erie. What's my number?
What'd you get?
14. I'm so good.
Well.